Shalom. Giving all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rekakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops at the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations to all the fellow laborers of the hopeful elect tabernacle of David scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. Now, I'm not sure when I'm entitled to lesson, but I'm just responding to this lesson put up by IUIC. And, the main speaker you're going to hear is Deacon Eythan. And they're trying to go into the history of, Jake marrying the other nations, integrating with the other nations, hence the title, Our Hidden History, Sleeping with the Enemy, Jews and Mixing. So pretty much, I guess this is a lesson to teach Jake that you're not supposed to sleep with the enemy. So that means that as an Israelite man, you can't lay with a Moabite woman, an Ishmaelite woman, definitely an Edomite woman. Because when you go back to the beginning, when the sons of God got with the daughters of men and became corrupted, what you're going to hear from them is that those daughters of men that the sons of God married were the daughters of Cain. And they got it from, I guess, some book, some information, all right, that actually says that, even though the Bible doesn't really make it clear what nationality these women were. All right. So according to this little information that they found, this is supposed to be the bombshell. And if you ever been sleeping with an Edomite, if you've been, doing your thing with an Edomite woman, you're going off. So I'm going to play the video so y'all can listen. And then we'll get into it.
Try to get it. A lot of history. Go down to the paragraph. All right, so it says Genesis 6 and 9 tells the story of the flood that covered the whole earth, and of Noah, the man used by God to save the world of men and beasts. The deluge was brought on by sin. The first 6 verses of Genesis 6 speak of the sons of God having relations with the daughters of men. Some have seen the sons of God as angelic or demonic beings, and thus the evil as demons cohabiting with humans. More likely, the sons of God were the sons of the godly line of Seth. So they understand. They know that. There you go. Keep reading.
That's a fact that the sons of God, their line continued through Seth. After Cain murdered Abel, they conceived again. Adam and Eve. Eve conceived again, and she brought forth Seth. And that's what continued the line of the sons of God. So that's definitely a fact. All right, but let's keep going.
Evil.
No, and the daughters.
And the daughters.
Read more likely again. More likely again. This is our time to the class. Read more likely again.
More likely.
More than, because that's the Bible says. Go ahead.
The sons of God were the sons of the godly line of Seth.
Watch.
And the daughters of men were women from the profane line of Cain.
Now, I don't know what book they got this from, but, you can speculate. All right. This source, is giving their opinion as to who the daughters of men were, but we understand that there were the classifications. You had the sons of God, you had the sons of the wicked, and you had the sons of men. All right. So when we read Genesis, the 6th chapter, it doesn't specify, of what family line it was. It just referred to them as the daughters of men. So it could have been a woman of any of the nations outside of the sons of God. This source is saying that the daughters of Cain. All right. Now, I mean, maybe this is the bombshell to prove to us that you don't deal with a Edomite woman, which it's just to be blunt, it's really nobody's concern or nobody's business, who you deal with as a man. Just as long as no woman have the power to sway you from the worshiping of your true power. All right, that was the main reason why the Lord commanded us to, not marry them, because of the influence and the seduction, of the woman, causing you to start to worship the gods that she believe in and that she serve. You start to absorb her cultural practices, and that can corrupt you. Because remember, this is fresh after Adam ate of the tree, him and Eve. So they learned the ways of the heathen early on. And after that happened, it opened up Pandora's box, and we became absorbed into the ways of the nations back then. So it could have been with any nation. Now, let me real quick. Because it was Noah who eventually preserved the legacy of, the righteousness of the Most High in the earth, which is why he was spared and saved with his children. Let's go to Sirach. What's it, 44? Yeah, Sirach 44 and verse 17. And it says, Noah was found perfect and righteous. In a time of wrath, he was taken in exchange for the world. Therefore, he was left as a remnant unto the earth when the flood came. Okay. So, yeah, the rest of the sons of God, they were ruined. Okay. Let me go to 2nd Esdras 3. 2nd Esdras 3, and I'm going to start at verse 5, and it says, and gave us a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thine hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. He was given that order, that divine order, all right, to establish the earth. Okay. He was given that wisdom, all right, which is the breath. And that's, the Lord put him over the rest of the world and gave him the dominion. But he listened to Eve after she went and listened to the serpent, and the rest was history. It says, and thou leadest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward. East in Eden. And unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way, which he transgressed. And immediately thou appointest death in him and in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number. So, it was nations that came out of, Adam. But we know there was only one nation that he chose and set near unto himself and made his inheritance, his possession. All right. So it could, like I said, it doesn't specify which nation, that intermingled and caused that corruption. It could have been any of the women of the other nations, because they were all in sin. They all had sinful practices. All right, but let's keep going.
Dealing with Becky and Amber. Dealing with Becky. Dealing with Becky and Amber. Give me Wisdom of Solomon. I got move it. Yep. Go back to Hancock. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10. Remember, it said it brought evil continually from that. The sons of God started laying with the daughters of men and started doing evil. And God said, I got to kill y'all. Wisdom of Solomon. It goes right into the class. Wisdom of Solomon 10.
Cain's lineage.
Yep. Wisdom of Solomon 10, verse 1.
Yes,
We're going to
sir.
read down to verse
The
4.
confusion, Deacons, because Genesis doesn't go in depth into Cain's lineage.
Right.
Because Genesis is just like
An abridgment. An abridgment.
It's abridgment. That's it. And highlights the sons of God or the royal lineage leading all the way up to Christ.
Right.
So you're not going to get the full spectrum of what was happening back during that time period. But if you want to get it, just analyze what's going on today and place that what was happening back then.
And
It's the same thing.
the prophets also allude to it, so you get bits and pieces of it, and you can put it together, a puzzle together. Wisdom of Solomon 10, verse 1. Solomon gives us understanding of what happened. To prove this point here, the daughters of men was Cain and the other line also. Remember, Cain came out of that line also. He came out of Adam too. Okay, go ahead.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and verse 1. She preserved the first formed father of the
The
world.
first form. There was no man made before Adam. You pre-Adamite doctrine, that's garbage. Adam was the first man formed. The only one formed.
That's right.
You deep dummies out there. Pre-Adamite, no.
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 Read the verse again.
She preserved.
Okay, so in the day of the creation, in the fifth day, when he made man, he didn't make. Let's go to Genesis real quick. Let's go to Genesis 1 and 20. Was it 6? Genesis 1. And 25, it says, and the powers made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And the powers saw that it was good. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Right? So the Elohim created man in his own image, and in the image of the Most High gods, all right, which I'm pretty sure there's a plural Elohim, created he him, male and female created he them. All right. So he created man and woman so that they can be fruitful and multiply, just like he did with all the other species. All right, then we go to Genesis 5. And it says, this is the book of the generations of Adam. In a day that the Elohim created man in the likeness of God, made he him, male and female created he them, and blessed them and called their name Adam, in a day when they were created. What is what is he talking about, man? But anyway, let's keep going.
Serve the first formed father of the world.
First formed father of the world. Read your Bibles. First formed father of the world. Not second formed, not third formed, not eighth formed. Garbage.
Right.
Read again.
She preserved the first formed father of the world that was created alone,
Alone. No wife yet. Go ahead.
and brought him out of his fall,
And brought him out of his fall. Go ahead. When he fell with Eve. Go ahead.
and gave him power to rule all things.
And gave him power to rule all things. Gave him power to rule all things. Come on.
And when the unrighteous went away from her in his anger, he perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother.
So it says that Cain was killed in the same fashion he killed Abel. So Solomon is giving us more insight of what took place after Genesis. Well, in Genesis. So when Cain killed Abel and got sent away to the land of Nod, his own kind killed him too. He got killed with the same fury he killed Abel with. He got killed.
So let's go to that. And this is what I'm gonna do actually. I'm gonna go in the Good News translation. Wisdom of Solomon 10 and 1. It says, wisdom protected the father of the world, the first man that was ever formed, when he alone had been created, she saved him from his own sinful act and gave him the strength to master everything on earth. But there was an unrighteous man who abandoned wisdom. He destroyed himself by killing his brother in a fit of anger. Because of that sin, the earth was flooded. All right, so let me go to the other, the KJV one, because I want to be sure. All right. Wisdom of Solomon 10:1, it says, she preserved the first form father of the world that was created alone and brought him out of his fall and gave him power to rule all things. But when the unrighteous went away from her in his anger, he perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother. So let me go back to the other translation. Because, this is talking about Cain, all right? He abandoned wisdom. They knew about the law of sacrifice back when the law was oral. And Cain, he didn't have any respect. So, he tried to offer up a fruit instead of, an animal offering. He refused to do it the right way. So he abandoned, the standard of righteousness, all right, back at the time, which was basically obedience. It says he destroyed himself by killing his brother in a fit of anger, right? So I don't see where it says that, he died the same way he killed his brother. Like, but you see with them, they like to get real satirical and sensational with their teachings. They'll start to even add, because they think that nobody reads the scriptures that they read. You know what I mean? But what is he trying to prove with this? Is this further a reason why you believe that that the daughters of men that the sons of God mingled with was of that line? So you're going into Wisdom of Solomon 10 because it only gives you the third verse about Cain. And then right after that, it goes right to the flood, and then it goes into Abraham, and then it goes into Lot. So this is what they do. They'll start to go to other scriptures, and they'll start, grasping and reaching. But I'm gonna continue to listen to, a little more just to see if they, bring it back full circle. Because I'm still trying to figure out what did, that have to do with what they were going into just before.
In the same fury. Solomon's giving us some bits. Remember, Solomon was revealed to him the beginning of time. So Solomon's telling us what the Lord showed him. So Solomon saw Cain get killed the same way he saw Cain kill Abel. Read on. What? Read verse.
Literally.
Huh?
Literally.
Literally, yes. Read on.
Verse 4.
Well, I just read it, and then I went to the Good News translation, and it's not really saying what he's saying it says. Okay? He said, but there was verse 3, but there was an unrighteous man who abandoned wisdom. He stopped following the instruction, and he destroyed himself by killing his brother in a fit of anger. Okay? So I don't know. He just gave his own commentary on what that mean.
For whose cause?
No, wait. Read verse 4 again. You're being together. Read verse 3 and 4 together.
All right, so he's about to read forward and make it, I guess, come together, right? Now, when you go to and this is why I like to go to this translation, because it actually breaks it down and it gives you the context, which is why you see these headers in between each verse. The third verse is talking about what Cain did. He abandoned wisdom. He stopped. He didn't follow the instruction. All right. And then the very next verse goes straight into Noah. But let's see how he's gonna twist it.
But when the unrighteous went away from her in his anger.
The her is wisdom. When the unrighteous Cain went away from her wisdom in his anger or hatred towards his brother, go ahead.
He perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother.
He died the same way he killed his brother. Watch this.
For whose cause?
Stop. For whose cause? Whose cause? Cain's cause. The context doesn't change. For whose cause? Go ahead.
The earth being drowned with the flood, wisdom again preserved it.
Read verse 4 again.
For
So Wisdom of Solomon 10:3, it says, but the unrighteous went away from her in his anger, who he perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother. Period. Verse 4, for whose cause the earth being drowned with the flood, wisdom again preserved it and directed the course of the righteous in a piece of wood of small value. All right. Now, clearly this is going into the time of Noah. Okay. When it says for whose cause the earth being drowned with the flood, it's talking about how basically all the people, including the sons of God, they were basically all in sin. But you had that preserved a line of men. You had Enoch, all right, in the midst of that. All right, and then eventually Noah. These were the men who walked with the Most High, because they the ones who stuck with wisdom. They stuck with the instruction of the Most High, which is why, they were spared during that time. For whose cause the earth being drowned with the flood, because you had a lot of wickedness going on. Matter of fact, let me get Sirach. Let's go to Sirach, the 40th chapter. And let's start at verse 8. It says, such things happen unto all flesh, both man and beast, and that is sevenfold more upon sinners. Death and bloodshed, strife and sword, calamities, famine, tribulation, and the scourge. These things are created for the wicked, and for their sakes came the flood. All right. So these type of things, because you had a lot of wickedness going on. All right. You had a lot of idolatry. Like it says in the days of Noah, they was eating and drinking. I'm pretty sure they were having feasts to commemorate idols, false gods. All right. Remember, you had the other trees in a garden, and they went and mingled with them other trees, which represents the other nations. I believe that's in Ezekiel. That shows that those trees represents the other nations. Was it Ezekiel 31? If I'm not mistaken. Ezekiel 31 and 2, it says, Son of man, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and unto his multitude, whom art thou like in thy greatness? Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon with fair branches, and with a shadowing shroud, and of a high stature, and his top was among the thick buffs. The waters made him great, the deep set him up on high with her rivers running around his plants, and sent out his little rivers unto all the trees of the field. Therefore his height was exalted above all the trees of the field, and his buffs were multiplied, and his branches became long because of the multitude of waters when he shot forth. All the fowls of heaven made their nest in his buffs, and under his branches did all the beasts of the field bring forth their young, and under his shadow dwelt all great nations. All right. So, let me jump down. Verse 9. Matter of fact, let me Yeah, I'll just keep reading. It says, thus was he fair in his greatness, and the length of his branches, for his root was by great waters. The cedars in the garden of the Most High could not hide him. The fir trees were not like his buffs, and the chestnut trees were not like his branches, nor any tree in the garden of God was like unto him in his beauty. I have made him fair by the multitude of his branches, so that all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of God envied him. So this shows you that the trees represents the nations. Okay. So you had, all the nations there, and they were all sinful. All right. So that's why when you go to Genesis, when it talked about the sons of God and the daughters of men, it doesn't specify the nation. All right. So he went to Wisdom of Solomon 10, and this is what they do. They always go into these scriptures that they think nobody went into or read before, and they start reaching. This is why you got to study to show yourself approved. You got to see for yourself. When brothers get on IUIC and brothers say that their members are like zombies, you can see why. Because they'll sit up there and they'll go into all these scriptures and precepts, and you think that they be trying to, follow along and, with their own mind, but they just take it all in and don't question anything. So when you go to the Good News translation, you see that it's separated by different headings because each verse is going into a different time. Okay. Noah, then it goes into Abraham, then it goes into Lot. And this is basically how wisdom actually preserved and saved these men, because they followed the Lord's instruction in obedience, and that's what preserved them. All right. So let's verse 4, it says, because of that sin, the earth was flooded, but wisdom saved it again. She guided a righteous man in his flimsy wooden boat. So they're basically saying that because Cain slew his brother, that's what caused the earth to be flooded, which it does say that in Genesis 6 that everybody became violent. The earth was filled with violence. And yeah, you could see Esau. He is a violent man. All right. He's definitely a violent man. So his vibration is part of why, you had a lot of that behavior going on, but you also had a lot of idolatry and all type of other things that were happening too. All right. And that doesn't just it doesn't just start with Cain. All them nations, that's what they were doing. Like you had the Canaanites that were known for their witchcraft and child sacrifice. That was all going on back then. So Jake was learning violence. They was learning how to practice idolatry, all those things as the sons of God. Like when you go to let's go real quick. Let's go to the 14th chapter. Yeah, Wisdom of Solomon 14, and I'll start at verse 22. And it says, moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of the Most High God, but whereas they lived in a great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace. For while they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites or rituals, they kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled. but they were marrying and giving in marriage. But either one slew another traitorously or grieved them by adultery, so that there reigned in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, thefts, and that's goes into the violence, right? And dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good turns, defiling of souls, changing of kind, disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanness. For the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. All right, and that's why the Most High got tired of man. Okay, he got tired of them because these were the type of things that they were doing, and it made the Lord sick. You're like, I'm tired of striving with man, so I'm gonna bring down their life to 120 years. Matter of fact, I'm finna flood this bitch out and save Noah, because he's the only one that remained loyal. So the other nations were doing that. It wasn't just Cain. All right. Now, you could have been the influence behind a lot of the violence, right? But it was idolatry, and the commemoration of those idols that affected the behavior. Okay. That was all because of the worshiping of idols. Because when we read throughout the rest of the scriptures, the Lord was telling us specifically, don't get with the Canaanites. Because guess what? The Canaanites, that's what they were into. They were worshiping idols, and they were having strange rituals and sacrificing children and all of that. All right. Like the when you start to read about marriage relations, the First Nations that were referred to as not to marry or intermingle with happen to be a Hamitic nation. Let's go to Genesis 24 real quick. Genesis 24:1, it says, and Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house, that ruled over all that he had, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that thou should not take a wife unto my sons of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell. But thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. So he didn't mention no other nation but the Canaanites. He specifically made a basically, I need you to promise me. This is, promise me. All right, enter in this vow with me that you will not give my son Isaac to a daughter of Canaan. So there's a reason behind why he specifically mentioned the daughters of the Canaanites. Now let's go to Rebecca. We're going to go to Genesis 27. Let me go to the NLT. Genesis 27 and Genesis 27:42, it says, but Rebekah heard about Esau's plan, so she sent for Jacob and told him, listen, Esau is consoling himself by plotting to kill you. So listen carefully, my son. Get ready and flee to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay there with him until your brother cools off. When he calms down and forgets what you have done to him, I will send for you to come back. Why should I lose both of you in one day? Then Rebekah said to Isaac, I'm sick and tired of these local Hittite women, Canaanite women. I would rather die than to see Jacob marry one of them. See that? So even though they're trying to say that, this is, why you shouldn't deal with basically an Edomite woman, because we know that they go back to Cain, and they're saying that it was because of Cain why in their family line why the world became what it was. But when Jake would marry among these Canaanites or these other nations, they still had the same influence over Jake. So it could have been any of those women. All right. And that's why we have the law of the concubine. A concubine, it's not the same. You had them as a maid. They was your slave. They would work for you. And if you wanted to pop them, that's what you did. Abraham popped his concubines and had his children. Jacob, his two wives gave him their concubines and he popped them. All right. So there's different examples in the scriptures where Jake did, deal with heathen women. But you had the one instance, all right, which was the ultimate one, Solomon, when he got old and weak, and he started to fall into the ways of these other nations through all those women. David, he had a bunch of women, but he didn't fall into idolatry. He didn't sacrifice none of his children. He didn't lose his mind like Solomon did, but he did lose his mind when he looked upon Bathsheba and committed adultery. But prior to that, leading up to that point, he dealt with women. Him and Joab was going into Edom, right? And they were slaying all the men. What do the law say when you go into a town and you wage war to it? If you happen to see a beautiful woman and you desire her, you can take her as a spoil of war. So you don't think David was doing that? He dealt with them Edomite women, man. He slew their men and took their women. So they got to dig deep just to try to say, hey, don't be out there dealing with, the non-Israelite woman. Because right now, the Israelite woman, she's just as heathenistic, if not more now, her mentality. Our women are heavy into witchcraft right now. They're heavy into plantation Christianity and whatever else that they're into. So it really don't matter. But this is still, speculation of, those daughters of men intermingling with the sons of God at the time. They could have been any nation, which is why it wasn't specified. But the sons of God, going back to Genesis 6, they got with those other women and they became corrupted because they were what? They were worshiping idols. All right. And it, like it says in Ecclesiastes 7:29, he had made man to be upright, but they sought out many inventions. So it was all kind of things going on. Okay. So, you can speculate that, but this is also kind of a reach. But I guess this is all to say, don't, you going off if you happen to lay down with a Edomite woman. Yeah, you're not supposed to marry them. That's the point. You don't marry them. You don't take their families into your family and vice versa. If you're using that woman as a concubine, as a surrogate, like a Ruth and Tamar, they were surrogates. They were not Israelite women. And the line of Judah got preserved through those women. All right. Moses, he got with the Midianite woman. And they tried to curse him out, and the Most High got mad. So y'all be the judge, man. I'm pretty sure one of the apostles that might be watching and listening, they might go into this as well. All right. But that's why you got to really you got to be real keen, when you listening to these guys and read the scriptures for yourself. All right. So hopefully y'all were edified. Let me give all praise, glory, and honor to y'all. Bashim Yahweh Shai. Until the next one, Shalom.